Well, good morning. Welcome to Fans Banter. Welcome to our match review of Liverpool's game at Anfield yesterday against Chelsea. Yep, Liverpool won, Chelsea won. Another failure for Liverpool at Anfield against a team that had scored one goal in 9 hours of football, who had lost six Premiership games on the trot, who have sacked their manager, who looked absolutely abject and useless against other teams. But yesterday at Anfield, they get a draw. Liverpool started the game really well. Great goal from Gravenberch. Keeper might have done better, but he didn't. So it was a goal. Liverpool were 1 up after 6 minutes. Looked like could have been a nice day for Liverpool in the sun at Anfield. The sun was shining, the crowd were singing. Liverpool looked to be playing well for the first 6 minutes, and then that's where it all went wrong, as usual. The usual story of this season. Liverpool take a lead. They failed to capitalise on it. They drop back. They let Chelsea come at them, and Chelsea get back into the game through a bizarre free kick that just goes straight into the goal, and 1-0. And from then on, it was really back and forth in the game. Liverpool having a couple of chances. Chelsea narrowly got a goal disallowed at the start of the second half, which would have been disastrous for Liverpool. Liverpool also had a goal disallowed and hit the bar a couple of times. And yeah, but at the end of the day, it was 1-0. Anfield, Anfield boos off. Manager, I won't say the team, they booed the manager at the end. They booed him when he substituted Rio Ngamoa for Isak in the second half by putting Cody Gakpo out on the left. There was loud boos at Anfield. The camera panned to the Liverpool crowd in the stadium, and you could see the total frustration and anguish and despair at the fact that Liverpool were making substitutions, but the player that was coming off was Rio Ngamoa, who looked like the only player at that part of the game who had any sort of flair that could get Liverpool, maybe with Isak coming on, get a down the wing and cross over to Isak for him to knock in a winner. But it wasn't to be, because Rio came out to loud boos from the Anfield crowd. So overall, the game was Chelsea's most influential player on the pitch was Cucurella. Who would have thought? Yeah, Cucurella tortured Curtis Jones all week, and between Curtis Jones and Ibrahima Konate, they didn't know what to do with Cucurella. He was through so many times in the first half. There was so much space for him to play in. Curtis Jones, officially on the team sheet, you can see up there, was right full, but he was midfield. He was out on the left where Rio was. He was up where Gakpo was. He was all over the shop, which left loads of space for Cucurella to play into and to exploit that area on the pitch, which he did many times in the first half, and probably unlucky not to get a goal, to be quite honest with you. So in the end of the day, Liverpool 1-1 against Chelsea. Kind of lucky, I thought. Kind of lucky to get away with a 1-1 draw. Arne Slot probably will see it differently in the game. We're going to have a listen to what he said after the match in a second. Yeah, but overall, a pretty gutless display from the Liverpool players, a gutless display from the manager, and the boos at the end of the game were absolutely seismic when you think that Liverpool very seldom boo their team off the pitch. But they've done it a couple of times this season, but not necessarily the team. It's more like they're booing the manager, but the manager redeflects that onto the... Earlier in the season, he said it was the players that were getting booed off the team. He said today we were getting booed because we didn't win the game, but I don't think Liverpool fans boo the team because they don't win the game. I think they were booing the manager for his gutless display of courage, to be quite honest, in the way he set up the team. Yet again, the substitutions that he did make, and yeah, it was kind of poor, to be quite honest. But in fairness to him, we're going to hear what he has to say about the Rio Ngamoa substitution. So let's have a little listen to what he has to say.
Just listened to a TV interview and the Ngamoa incident. It turns out you said that he was actually injured.
No, not injured.
I had a problem.
He had a cramps before that 3 minutes where he went to the floor, and then I had contact with him, and he said that it was enough, so that's why I took him off. Yeah.
So he's indicating that Rio was cramp.
Yeah.
Here's the part about the boos.
I said it, I think, in the same interview. It makes complete sense if you take a player out that's playing well, that assisted, that people don't expect you to take that player off, which wasn't my intention to do. But he's a good player, but I don't think he's at the level yet to play at 60 or 50% to then make the difference. But maybe the fans have different opinion. They think that he would have been able to play at this level at 50%. Or 60, or no matter what the percentage is, but not being fit enough anymore to sprint and to make your actions. So actually I knew the moment his number went up that would have been the reaction, but that's not.
So yeah, so he's indicating that Rio indicated to him that he was unable to continue in the game. He's making out the point that, you know, a Rio at 50 or 60% fitness at that stage of the game couldn't really impact the game in any way, shape or form. But the interesting thing is whether you believe Arne Slot at this stage, because the reaction was kind of seismic, to be quite honest, to Rio being substituted. My thoughts on it is I do believe him. I do believe that probably Rio did signal to him that he was unable to continue, because it'd be pretty risky business just to come up with this excuse to Rio being substituted just to keep Cody Gakpo on the pitch, just in case Rio actually came out at some stage in the media and says, no, I wasn't injured at all. I was looking forward to continuing the game. So I'm going to err on the side, I believe, the manager on this one, that Rio wasn't able to continue to the same level that he wanted to play at. So, yeah, hence the substitution. So we'll go with that. We'll give him that one, as in that Rio wasn't able to continue, because it'd be pretty damning if that wasn't the case. Let's hear what he has to say more.
Then not to do it and keep a player in the team that tells me he cannot continue. So, and after the game, I think it also makes sense, because I don't think this club should be happy with a 1-1 result against Chelsea.
No, not this Chelsea team, not at this present moment in time, not the way they're playing. 1-1 is not a good result. It's a bit of a failure, to be quite honest.
We always aim for a win, and if we don't win, then we're disappointed, and especially in a season where we haven't won a lot or not as much as people expect us to do, then it's just building up frustration. And
yeah, very frustrated.
That came out probably after half time, but I think the players and myself had the same frustration as the fans.
Probably not. So, yeah, same frustration as the fans. Probably not. I think the fans are pretty frustrated now at this stage. The whole season of frustration, to be quite honest, I think it's just boiling over at Anfield, and that's sort of the reaction that we're getting in the games. That people, the frustration is just it's too much now at this stage, and we were willing to settle for, well, not settle for, but we were hoping for, you know, a good result yesterday, another couple of good wins. To end off the season, that Arne Slot said in his pre-game press conference that he was really looking forward to getting 3 good wins under the belt. Not that it would make up for a bad season, but, you know, 3 good wins, finish on a strong point. But doesn't look like we're going to finish on a strong point. Looks like we're just limping over the line regarding the Champions League spot, and it's bound to continue. So listen to this one. This is a good one. Narcissistic Slot defends himself to the next question. Just let me read out a definition of narcissism for you before we go into this. Narcissism involves extreme self-involvement, often leading to individuals to disregard the needs, the feelings of others. While occasional narcissistic behaviours are normal, true narcissism can impair relationships and daily functioning. Those who suffer from narcissistic tendencies may experience troubled relationships. Mo Salah, Curtis Jones, a couple of others. Working difficulties. He certainly experienced some working difficulties and dissatisfaction when their need for admiration is unmet. They exploit others, behave in an arrogant manner, and struggle to empathize, which can lead to interpersonal conflict. Convert or vulnerable narcissist may feel resentful, envious, or victimized, displaying hypersensitivity to criticism. Now keep that in mind, because this is the question. He's asked after Liverpool scored the goal, did they intentionally sit back and try to defend it? Let's have a listen. Is that what you told them to do? Sit
We
back.
scored the 1-0, and then we got a big chance for the 2-0. Didn't you see me screaming off the sideline? Go back, defend your own box, defend your own box. Are you really thinking this is serious that I'm not?
See?
Of course it's not
Narcissistic.
for us to back off. We wanted to keep going, but we played against a team that got more and more comfortable on the ball, that brought...
Chelsea are terrible.
They didn't have any wingers available, so they had a lot of midfielders, so they controlled the midfield and started to passing through us more and more and more, which didn't lead to a lot of chances, but they were by far the dominant team in the game, and it was difficult to change that.
Chelsea were by far the dominant team in the game. This is the same Chelsea had scored 1 goal in 9 hours of football and have lost their last 6 Premiership games. But at Anfield yesterday, they were the dominant force.
That during the first half, but I think you might have noticed as well, apart from other things you've noticed, that at halftime we changed things. That didn't lead to straight away what we wanted, because 3 minutes afterwards we conceded the 2-1.
They conceded the 2-1, yeah, the goal that was disallowed, just barely, inches, toenail stuff, very, very, very close to being a 2-1 lead. But what did they change in the second half? Well, I'll tell you what they changed in the second half, what I was watching. Curtis Jones was all over the place. Curtis Jones was out on the left, he was centre forward. Now, he did get the goal that was disallowed, but he wasn't defending. He was everywhere on the pitch. There seemed to be some sort of interchangeability between Frimpong and Curtis Jones, but neither of them doing a good job, to be quite honest. And yeah, so let's see what else he had to say.
Which was good for us fixing the offside, but then afterwards we were much more able to press them high, to keep them on their half. Not perfect, because they were still a few times able to play through us, but not as much as in the first half. So that was the adjustment we made at halftime, which helped us being the more dominant team in the second half, but not able to score. We were twice close, but I think it's not fair to me that anyone could ever think that I tell my players.
See, not fair to me. Not fair to me that anybody, he says, that anybody would think that I would send. Let's listen to it in its entirety, and then I'll comment on it.
To back off and to drop down and not to press. Then either you haven't seen my teams playing last season and large part of this season, let alone since I'm a manager.
Totally narcissistic behaviour. Because he was asked a question, he took it as a personal slight or an insult, and he ends up saying it's a disrespect to him, to Arne Slot, to think that he would tell his team to back off and to defend a 1-0 lead. And that obviously we, the people, everybody generally, don't understand him and the way he plays football. And you only had to look at his previous teams to be able to understand that. But because we're so stupid and he's all so superior, we don't understand that. So he's right and everybody else is wrong. Narcissistic behaviour.
But yes, because usually frustrations come from losing more than we want, and losing more than we want is never a good thing. That's always a problem. So yeah, it's not ideal, but I think I felt the support towards the players throughout the whole game. Of course, there were moments where they showed that they would love to.
Yeah, of course we're going to support the players. And the booing is not towards the players, it's towards the manager, in my opinion.
See something else, but they weren't the only ones. I'm 100% sure the players on the pitch would have shown a different face. And me on the side would have loved us to show a different face as well.
Well, you could have shown a different face by reacting to what was happening in the game. The simple fact that you couldn't organise a defence to stop Cucurella, who's a full back for Chelsea, as their most dangerous player on the pitch. You couldn't sort that simple thing out. Shows that just a total lack of leadership, a total lack of understanding of tactics in a game, and an inability to be able to cope with anything that happens inside a game. But no, not this narcissistic man, because it's not his fault.
Sometimes, and we're not the only team, sometimes you play against teams that can have a certain spell in the game as well, a good spell in the game. And then you have to defend, which I think we did, because in that part they didn't create a lot of chances. But as so many times this season, as last week, the same. We conceded a set piece, and that made the difference.
Yeah, the set piece was shocking. It was a shocking goal to give away, I have to say. You can't blame the manager on that. Well, you can blame the manager on the setting up of the defence, but it was absolutely shocking.
And not only not feeling nice that we were not controlling the game, but even add the set piece to that, and then of course it's very negative. And but the second half was different from our side, similar than the first 10 minutes maybe. But I think it's also one of our problems is that when we are the better team, we are not able to score. And
well, for the first 6 minutes of the game, Liverpool were the better team. Obviously, they did get the goal, and it looked like they could go on and dominate that game against a Chelsea team that sort of lacked any sort of confidence. But again, we failed to do it.
So it's not only the spell where the other team is better that we then concede. Maybe it's a bigger problem that if we are the better team on the pitch, that we are not able to find the second goal. The good thing between now and last week is that last week when we were the better team on the pitch, we conceded a goal. And now at least we got a draw where we are not happy with, let that be clear.
Got a draw.
That we have
So let's have a listen to this.
Again, like last week, like this week, showed in the second half that they want to give everything and try to push, but it was not enough last week and wasn't enough this week to find that goal, which we maybe deserved if you looked at where the game was played, because for me, the game was mainly played in the second half on their half, and that is what we've seen a lot of times this season, but we've also seen a lot of times this season that being the dominant team doesn't lead to chance after chance after chance.
So he's talking about being the dominant team and the chances we had in the game. So let's have a look at this for a second. Here's the stats from the game. Chelsea had 52% possession against our 48%. We had 3 shots on target against Chelsea's 3 shots on target. There's no dominance there. Absolutely no dominance there. This man is delusional.
I think it's so simple. What the fans want to see, what I want to see, what everyone wants to see is a team that creates chances from ball possession. And that's not what we are doing enough. If you simply look at the difference between the goals scored last season and this season, it's an enormous gap. The goals conceded is not so much difference between this and last season, but the goals scored is the biggest difference.
Huge drop off, but why?
And
why is the drop off?
I think if the same fans see a similar type of game, but then it leads to more chances, they would be much more happy with what they are seeing.
Nah. The football is terrible. It's not a question of creating more chances and then we'll score more goals and we'll be happy. The football is dreadful to watch. Even when we win games, the football is dreadful.
Well, because they see more chances. Usually when you get more chances, you score more, and that leads to a win. And I know now, for being so long in football,
We 3 shots on target.
A performance is mainly also done by results. And maybe last season, I think we played a quite similar game against Chelsea, but the difference was that we last season found many times a way to score a goal, which we are struggling with this season. And that's just when you look at our goal scoring, the goal scorers this season, and you compare it to last season.
Yeah, we're looking at the XG now, is it? Or the goals that we did score. Different team last season. And if you remember, it started to tail off at the end of last season when things actually got bad. So it's not just this season. I can't remember now. The last month of the season last year was absolutely terrible. Just as well we had the League One at that stage because we were playing shit.
Yeah, that's a massive difference.
Last question.
Sorry? Yeah.
The booze. We're on to the booze now. Here, listen to what he says.
What's the English word for that? It sometimes feels. How do I have to find the right word? No, let me describe it in a different way. I would love to show them something else.
We'd
and
love to see
but
something
at
else.
this moment of time, we're not enough able to. What we are able to is to be the dominant team, to have more.
52% possession against 48.
It's happened so many times this season. And I want to give them much more
Against a terrible
positive
Chelsea team.
about or happy about, and I'm 100% sure the team wants the same. But as I said many times now, ball possession is one thing, but to generate chances of that. Second half last week, everybody was probably really positive about our second half.
No.
But from open play, we did not create one chance. And then we scored 2 goals, and then everybody's much more positive.
No.
But we had 60% ball possession at Old Trafford, which, apart from City, who has a bit more ball possession than us, it's us. But it's not my idea to like ball possession. I like to create chances. I like to create and score goals.
Yeah, we're not doing that.
What we need to get that done, and I think this club, last season and all the season before, can show all of you what you need to bring ball possession to chances, because that has happened so many times here, which what you need for that, and we haven't produced that enough this season.
No. Definitely have not produced enough of it this season. Look, at the end of the day, it's been a miserable performance from Liverpool again. Arne Slot has said that, the team was booed off because we didn't win. No, we weren't booing the team. I don't think the fans at Anfield were booing the team. You could hear a pin drop at Anfield for long periods of the game yesterday. The fans are just totally disillusioned at the performances that's been produced every week due to the lack of leadership on the pitch, I suppose. Some players have to answer for that, but mostly due to the lack of leadership from the manager. And I think the boos at the end of the match were more directed at Arne Slot because of how he sets his teams out and how the Liverpool team are performing week in, week out, without his seemingly inability to be able to cure excuse me, his inability to be able to cure many of the ills which we faced this week. His inability to be able to stop Cucurella yesterday from torturing the right full and Kanate in centre half yesterday for a good 25 minutes in the first half is actually bizarre. Not to be able to change it, to do something to stop that threat is criminal, in my opinion, for a team of Liverpool standard. The boos directed at Arne Slot, I dare say. But listen, at the end of the day, he's our manager. That's what we have to do. We have 2 more games to go, and we have to remain positive. I was going to take this little blue ticker down here that you see at the end of my screen, saying that we won't get Champions League if Arne Slot remains manager. That's up now for about 6 or 7 weeks, I think. I was going to take it down because it looked like we were moving in that direction, but I'm going to keep it up because we play Everton. Sorry, we don't play Everton. We play Aston Villa, and I can't see anything from the games that we've watched in the last couple of games to suggest that we can actually beat Aston Villa. So yeah, it's staying up there for a while. If we do happen to get to the Champions League, which we probably will, it's not going to be anything to do with us playing good football to get us there. As I said ages ago, a lot of Liverpool's league position at the moment has to do with the first 5 games we played and the fact that so many of the teams below us are just capitulating and they just can't put enough games together to be able to catch Liverpool, so to speak. Yeah, so another bad day for Liverpool. Listen, that's it from Fans Banter. Just a review of what we watched yesterday, or how I saw it. Probably a little bit different to how the manager saw it, but another disappointing performance from a Liverpool team. And yeah, if you like our video and you have got through it, please think of subscribing to the channel. We're at 47. We hope to get to 50 by the end of the season, which is just 2 more games. So we just need 3 more subscribers to get us to 50. So if you do like our videos or any of the other videos that we have on our channel that you have watched, that you have enjoyed, please subscribe to the channel and help us out. That's it from Fans Banter.